Do you hear it? Beautiful. Listen closely to the anthem of your demise.
Through the dark veil of space and time. This is Warp Chatter.
All right. Okay, everybody. Welcome once again to the Warp Chatter podcast. This is the podcast dedicated to talking about the Horus Heresy Legion's digital card game. This is a podcast by players for players, coming to you out of the Eye of Terror studios. I am your host, Scuff D. With me today, we've got a couple of players. We've got my crab co-host, Axel Manning.
Howdy, howdy, ho.
And joining us on today's episode is Vapix.
Hey, how we going?
All right, and we are going to be talking a little bit later about the episode. We're going to be talking about the World Cup. We mentioned the World Cup qualifiers were all last month, and they have all wrapped up at this point, and World Cup teams have been finalized. So we're going to be talking about the teams and the players that are on them, what that's shaping up to look like, who looks like a powerhouse team. I'm looking at, I think there's more than one team that looks like a pretty solid player base. So we'll talk about that and discuss it, as well as we're also going to be talking about first impressions about the Sisters of Silence. They've only been out for a day and a half. Yeah, just about a day and a half.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And, kind of how they shaped up. We did the same thing when we talked about the Imperial Fists, and with the full card pool at our access and our fingertips. So let's do that with the Sisters. But before we do any of that, let's do player introductions. Vapix, you want to tell us about yourself?
So, I guess a lot of people would know me from my YouTube channel and stuff like that. But I guess a little background on me. I got into this game at the release. I think it was the event that was releasing the Salamanders. Like, I remember my first event, I was playing as Vulcan.
Oh, okay.
And I did not do well, but, so that's when I came into the game, and then, I had a couple of friends who played it before that since, like, launch or even beta. I think one of them was in. They were telling me about the game, because we all played the tabletop game together. So I got into it through them, played a bunch, and then just haven't stopped for the 2.5 years it's been, or whatever.
Yeah, it's been, we're past the 3-year mark, and for you, I think, that Salamanders, that was the first real expansion. So they were the second new faction at the team. Before them was the Iron Hands,
who apparently broke the meta when they came out. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say they broke the meta, but Relentless on release was very intimidating for people who were used to the game not having that feature. So. Yeah.
I was going to say, a new mechanic that comes into the game as the first new mechanic would probably shock everyone.
Yeah, and Survivor was much the same. I mean, because especially Vulcan, it was like, everyone's like, just play Vulcan, he can't die. And that was like 20-minute games where, Vulcans versus Vulcans, and you had to time your hits right, because also his Reckoning on release healed him for 5 instead of 3. Or had given Survivor 5 on the, so it was just like never ending Vulcan.
Yeah. I mean, the game was a lot different back then, as well. Like, before that, Angron used to be just base 3 attack.
Yep.
There used to be no initiative back in the good
that was before initiative. I think Corax might have been either Corax or Alpha Legion is when they added the initiative factor in there. Yeah.
Jeez, okay.
Well, so you mentioned tabletop. What do you play on the tabletop?
So, I haven't actually played in a very long time. I sold out a while ago, because I didn't have the time. I was doing a few other different things, but I've always been a Chaos Space Marine player for the 40k tabletop game.
Boy.
I tried to play the bad stuff. That's what happened.
That seems to be the popular trend, which is, to be fair, I mean, that they're, depending on which way you go, they've got the spiky bits, they've got the lure.
Crab claws?
Yeah. Is there a particular Chaos Space Marine faction, or you just kind of did homebrew, or what?
Well, at the time, way back when, I was playing a Death Guard-y sort of faction.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't that great then. The only reason why it was great is because the +1 toughness on your Marines and a few other different things. Like, you could get a Demon Prince with a 2+ rerollable cover save. Mm-hmm. So it was playing the best out of the worst stuff. But now that the new editions have come out, Death Guard's, like, super strong. I don't want to play them.
Nah, you might as well just cave in to
get
chaos.
accused of playing all the powerhouse. Were you playing at the time when Death Guard, like, they had to take, if they took a Rhino, that counted as a fast attack option for them?
No. So I think it was 6th ed when I was playing.
Oh, okay. That was, so then I think it was 3rd and 4th, the codex for that. So that was, you had the codex after, but yeah, before it was like, they couldn't have bikes. So that wasn't an option for them. Death Guard were just infantry, and then if you gave them a Rhino as a transport, they became a fast attack option.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
very odd.
Yeah, Terminators and infantry was the only really thing that they had going for them, and I mean, they still had the toughness +1, but I think with 6th edition, then they got the new Chaos Codex, and then you could be like, oh yeah, we're gonna give Death Guard on bikes, so now they're toughness 6.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That was awesome at the time. But yeah, so what I'm doing now is, since I bought my 3D printer, I'm printing stuff for 1,000 Suns Army.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Nice. And I've heard they're not great in the current edition. Is that true? I haven't played the last time I played was 7th, so.
I mean, to be honest, I have no idea. I'm reading their rules. I'm like, yes, this thing is strength 6. I have no idea how that stacks up against anything else.
They are not in a perfect state right now, but they could be worse.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's fine. As long as they're not like low tier, bottomed out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I got back into it, I would just stick with what I know. I can't play Chaos. I just can't. I would do. I've got my Templars.
What Scott is trying to say is he's a coward.
I know. I fight for the Emperor. That's it. For the Emperor.
See, that just sounds like cowardice, but with extra words added.
I've got a 5,000 point Black Templar army, but none of it's Primaris. So I think I would suffer terribly if I tried to play the current edition. Although I do have.
No. We got some buffs to our older Marines. They're doing okay.
I would like for the Templars to get their codex back. Is what I'd like.
They got a toughness buff. Now they have an extra unit of toughness for firstborns, and firstborns have better like gear options when you swap things out, because Primaris are such like cookie cutter. This is his gun. Can I have no? That's his gun.
Oh, okay.
So firstborn are still in a good place.
They're
not
still
in a perfect place, but
they're better than they were like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, and if I did, like, I've got the Necrons from the Indominus box, and I really, of all the races, like, of all the Xenos non-Imperium races, like, Necrons always intrigued me the most, so maybe. They look cool, especially when they add those little walker things with the 3 legs. I forget what they're called. You know, they've got, they've got, like, the spider bodies, but they're not Devastators or the old editions. They had the destroyer bodies. That's what they were. But now these guys. You're talking about
the thing out of the trailer, aren't you? That fought the Sisters of Battle.
Yes. He's got like the
Sisters of Battle. You don't mean Sisters of Silence, Vapix.
Look. Let's not talk about that mistake. Whoops.
I was hoping I could slip it in here somewhere, and I found a prime opportunity. Scuff, do you know what I'm referencing real quick?
No, but I mean it's a common mistake.
Vapix released some videos on the Sisters of Silence recently, and I feel like every opportunity he called them Sisters of Battle. And it was amazing.
100% did. It wasn't even like, funny, I'm going to call them this. No, I literally just called them Sisters of Battle because I'm bad at reading, apparently.
You're like, this silence looks a lot like battle. I don't know why people keep saying silence.
Yep, that E is about to make me act up.
Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, to be honest, they were the predecessors, but I mean, compared to how they ended up, they're nowhere near the same level. I think.
Absolutely.
I think that, I mean, shoot, if I was hoping to get that Faith and Pain and Penance or whatever it was, Faith and with the Dark Eldar and the Sisters of Battle, the battle box there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like if I could get that. I think it was sold out like in a second on the website, but that would be a way for me to start up a Sisters, because I've always wanted to do. I can't say I've always wanted to do. I always thought Sisters were cool looking, but the fact that they were all metal and they had like limited posability and they were like really hard to acquire, always kind of like it was a turnoff. But then when they did Plastic Sisters, after 2 decades of swearing that they were working on Plastic Sisters, they finally delivered. Then I was like, okay, this could be a time to check them out. And now they've got those, they've got like a walkers, don't they? Like they're kind of like dreadnoughts, right?
Oh, for the Sisters of Battle?
Yeah.
They look cool. They look like dread knights.
Yeah, they're kind of like a cross between like a Centurion armor meets a Dreadnought, but for sisters.
Well, you know what I'm talking about when I say a Dread Knight, right, Scuff?
Are we talking about the Imperial Knights?
No, the Grey Knights have their own version of Dreadnoughts that don't require their guys to
right, we're like
called Dread Knight.
Yeah, the guy's
that
in
looks like baby carriers.
He kind of looks like he's in a power loader suit.
Yeah, that's what they look like.
They've got penitent engines. It's like a dreadnought suit, but without protecting the body.
Yeah.
I'm not big on the pennant engine. Is I don't like the models as much, but no, I'm talking about the ones
Qualifiers, maybe.
Oh gosh, I'd have to take a look at them. They're ones where like
he's not talking about the penitent engine because that's
the modifiers. That's exactly what I'm looking at the GW website right now.
Yeah, they're newer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Those look cool, and they look like they got some options. So I don't know. I'll have to keep an eye on it. But that's now that they've got plastic pieces, it's something where it's like I could do that. And to be honest, as a Black Templar player, like the sisters have always kind of had a decent relationship with the Templars. As most of the fluff goes, they just hate witches, and I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta hate the witch, hate the heretic, hate the abhuman.
Like death to the false emperor.
That's
that's him. You were given the opportunity of crab claws and you turned it down.
When I first started playing, like librarians were terrible to begin with, so there was no reason for me to even be intrigued by psychers. So then, like the upsell to like the downside to Templars in the Armageddon Codex was, okay, what do they got? Well, you can't have librarians. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I don't like librarians anyways. They don't do anything. All right, and also no veteran sergeants. I'm like, that's kind of a downside. But you get to have scouts in with your regular Marines as a 15-man squad, and you get this cool Land Raider Crusader. And I'm like, I'm sold. Like, and then later on, they're like, okay, well, it turns out that you also can't have, I think you couldn't have Whirlwind, and there was a couple other like heavy, like you couldn't have a Devastator squad. And it's like, well, I just want to get in there and charge things anyway, so that works out for me. And then they got mixed in with the Space Marine Codex, and they're just like, turns out that you just have like Furious Assault, and I
don't know if they changed it, but what's the reason for them not having the librarians? Because I know it's not because they hate the heretic that much, because they had them. But last time I read the lore, it's because all their heads exploded simultaneously and they never got more.
I don't know.
That's still the reason?
Here's the thing. I always thought it was because they simply despise the witch so much. But I think with the heresy novels, there's a short story that really, it doesn't spell it out, but I think that really lays the foundation for why that was their backbone, because Sigismund, there's a short story where Sigismund, where kind of like explains why he was not the one who was leading the fleet that went to fall, like why he withdrew, and Pollux went in his place, was because Sigismund had consulted a psyker, and who had scried the future, and saw that in order for Dorn to survive the heresy, Sigismund had to stay on Terra and had to fight by his side. So he followed that, and when Dorn found out about that, that's what really caused Dorn to just kind of like shun him. He's like, stay as far away from me as possible, like because he broke the Edict of Nicaea, essentially, by just even consorting with the witch. So I've always thought, since reading that really kind of laid out the reason, like once they formed the Black Templars, that's still his penitence. He's like, I will never do that again, ever. Like none of my legion, none of my chapter will, we will abhor the witch, even though it must have turned out for the better because Sigismund lived and Dorn survived the heresy, but...
Yeah, but you know how that stuff is in 40k.
We do not disobey orders.
Yeah.
Except for when they do.
Except for when they do, because the plot calls for it. There are some times when the plot has to call for it.
The plot has to progress, and in order to do so, you got to do some dumb things. It's just how it works.
You got to be heroic, or you have to, give in to your inner weakness or rage or whichever it is, that makes you do something. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, I know people say, like, oh, it's plot armor, and like that so-and-so didn't die, or the, Gilliman's doing this, or whoever the main hero is. And to a degree, that's right. But if there wasn't plot armor and things just happened, I don't think any of the stories or characters that we read would be around. Talking about
Crab Claws are pretty cool. Black Templars are lame.
No, Black Templars are the baddest. Look, okay, we've talked about chaos like Marines. Like if you had to pick a chaos Marine, we've heard from a lot of people. I haven't heard from you, Axel, and Vapix will ask you too. I'll ask the same question. If you had to pick a loyalist chapter, and now in 40k, you don't have to go with heresy. Who would you play?
Carcharodons.
Okay.
I love the Carcharodons. Like without a doubt, those guys are great.
The Space Sharks.
Yep.
Okay.
Have to be one of my favorite factions.
Look, it's hard for me to answer because I've never really been that much of a lore buff, and my entire knowledge of this game has come from the tidbits I get from playing 40k. I've started reading the Horus Heresy books. I'm like 6 books in or something like that, and the only 40k books I've read are the ones centering around the Night Lords and Talos and his group.
If you ever need those books for the Horus Heresy and you need them without paying a dime, I may or may not have all of them. For legal reasons, I can't say yes or no.
That's fair enough. No, I get them on audiobook, and I like to listen to them through that when I'm driving, because I drive a lot.
Black Library's got some good audiobooks, for sure.
They do, especially when you don't pay a dime for said book. Now, for legal reasons, of course, I can't say any of those things on, say, a podcast, so I'm not. But...
Well, and if
and
the Talos, the Night Lords trilogy, that's Aaron Dembski-Bowden. How do you like his style?
I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed those books. I'm just going to mute myself.
Oh yeah, he's a real good author.
Yeah, he's one of my top 3 as GW authors as far as it goes.
Oh, easily.
I think Dan Abnett, Aaron Dembski-Bowden, and I would probably put Guy Haley. Graham McNeil is close fourth, but I haven't read. I enjoy his heresy stuff, but I really haven't read his 40k stuff.
That's fair enough. So, in order to answer your question, I really don't know.
Long story short, I don't know the answer. That's okay. That's fair. There's way more chapters to choose in 40k, and if you don't know a whole grip of the lore, you're really only kind of going off of colors, right? Like what's easiest to paint. That was that was my intro when I first started playing. I was like, I don't understand, because it's like Space Marines, it's like space and armies. I'm like, how come all these armies are all so brightly colored? That seems like oddly like not smart if you're a military force. Like, shouldn't they be
That's
camo?
exactly right.
And then you learn that they're shock and awe, so it doesn't matter.
They're shock and awe, and there's like the heraldry thing, and there's so much more to it. Like,
I love the Space Marine fighting style. Just for a quick tangent, it's not we're going to set up here and we're going to no, we're going to drop on your head, rip you asunder, and then disappear.
And just boom, it's in, you're dead, and that's it. That's how it goes. That's how I envision.
They do kind of explain why their armor is like they is subtly in actually one of the
well, they have
Night Lord books that I was talking about. Like, they say Space Marine stealth doesn't really exist because your Space Marine suit hums like no tomorrow.
Well, it doesn't, because they can also just turn invisible. So a lot of, like, if they need to stealth can, but it's a hermetic seals when they walk. I know the Night Lords didn't have a big problem with that, and neither did the Raven Guard, because stealth was their gimmick. But a lot of times it was just, you drop on their head. They now have a Marine on top of them.
Yeah.
And you have bigger problems than, oh, this guy's pretty bright, I could probably see him in a non-camouflaged environment. Then, oh god, there's a chainsword, and then you're dead.
Well, and when you look at 40k Warzone environments, or even like the covers of the codexes of the books, like, it's all so dark and gritty and filled with smoke and chaos and rubble. So like even the brightest Imperial Fist yellow is kind of like, just a smear of color. It's not even like a standout. So it's not quite the same. Now the Eldar, that might be a different story. They've got some bright colors.
The Eldar are, they're another hit fast, move faster type faction. So it makes sense. Not a lot of people use stealth except the Tyranids, and then, the Tyranids hide, so it doesn't matter to them. Well,
my favorite faction to talk about is the goddamn Tyranids, because GW does them dirty.
They get it good, and then they get it bad. Depends on what they need them. Do they need a big bad threat? Here's the Tyranids. Do they need the big bad threat to go away at the end? Okay, it's something happened, and the Tyranids, are broken.
Tyranids will be the best. Oh, here's a threat that we can kill off, because they won't lose by losing numbers.
That's true.
That's exactly right. And the whole thing, the way you make a faction seem strong is they beat the unbeatable. And Tyranids are kind of in 40k, that force that's coming along. That's like, we're so big, we're so destructive, nobody knows really how powerful we are. We're going to destroy everything. So to show your cool new guys are strong, you have them fight and beat the Tyranids. But it goes so far that even, I think it was the 7th edition Tyranid Codex, within their codex, the Tyranids lose.
That's amazing. I did not
Yeah,
hear
because
about this.
usually the codexes are all about victories and like where they win and like the achievements.
Look how cool this faction is you're playing.
Right. Well, like to be fair, somewhere along the way, like if they lose enough, then they just introduce a new Hive fleet. They're like, okay, Hive fleet Leviathan's gone, Kraken's broken, whatever. Here's Hive fleet Behemoth. Here's a new Hive fleet.
Exactly right.
I'm near certain they introduced a new Hive fleet scuff that was all the broken ones put together to be a mega Hive fleet, but its name is escaping me.
I bet that would make sense to me.
Well, that's the thing with Hive fleets. It's like, oh no, they're losing. Another one came out of the warp. Or not the warp, but the outer region.
Or just when you think that, like, okay, we've managed to hold it out just enough, and then they're like, no, now there's a whole new second wave of refreshed, like a full Hive fleet coming at the system. Tyranids.
Yeah, there's endless capabilities when it comes to that stuff. A lot of people
Alright, so should we focus more in on actual legions?
Yeah, we've talked a little bit of the 40k. We go on about it, but let's talk about the Sisters of Silence. Let's focus on
Absolutely.
that. So first impressions, now that they have been out for a little bit, and I think I've gotten about 10 games in the event. I've got way less practice. I was not feeling up to it yesterday, so I kind of stayed in bed most of the day. Played a few games with the Sisters, and I don't have hardly near as many of the Sisters cards as I do Fist cards. I'm missing a lot of epics, but they are fun to play.
They're strong.
Yeah. They've got a lot of, I don't want to say answers, but they've got a lot of toolbox synergy. Like all their stuff does something for you, regardless of what it is.
They haven't got stealth removal, but they've got ways to get rid of stealth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have a card that removes all stealth off board.
Oh, that's true, but like they've got like jam and whatever to the board that gets rid of stealth.
Jam
and all that sort of stuff. Like their anti-stealth isn't anti-stealth; it's just anti-everything.
That's if you don't have one of those cards in your deck, you're doing yourself wrong because that is just such a brutal card. Like,
Absolutely.
Like I think the only time you wouldn't want to do it, and even then, like I don't see why you wouldn't, is if your opponent's got a bunch of like greater demons on the board and they are able to unjam one of those and not have any maintenance. But if you're facing down like a bunch of troops,
anything,
just get rid of them. Or can't get rid of them, lock them. Yeah.
And they've got so many options for things like the Cull, the 6 energy field wipe that they've got.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? Just endurance, but probably better.
Yeah, instead of getting health, you get energy back for every one. So it's like a combination between endurance and the missile pods from the night houses, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, the extra damage that they get to Psychers, I think, is just gimmicky. For the most part, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Unless the agents of the Sigillite come out and they all have Psyker, it's really just punching down, as 1,000 Suns don't use Psyker troops in the first place. So
I would argue the massive reason to keep the Cull, I mean, because there's other stuff there that gets rid of precog and Psyker hate, but the Cull doing 5 damage is really nice against Penthu and Izakir Orc, because those guys have got 5 health. So you're like, oh, you ordered your whole board? Now your board's gone. It's been cold.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like, this is highly specific against Psychers, which are only belong to one faction, and they're not a faction that's played as a Psyker group. It was just like way too gimmicky for the agents of Sigillit not to have Psyker.
If Malgador isn't a Psyker, like, I'll be shocked. Like, it just seems like he's like, even if he's a Psyker in the way that Canis is, where he has a Psyker ability, but he doesn't have access to Psyker tactics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as one of the second strongest Psyker in the Imperium, it just seems to me that would be a swing and a miss if they don't do it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. They might. Yeah, you're right. They might do him like Canis, but if he's supposed to be the second strongest Psyker, they could easily just give him Psyker 3 and a higher cost ability, just to make it seem more.
Yeah, or like if they had his reckoning tied to Psyker costs, like a Psyker 30 or something, and you can either choose to use his ability or bank it up.
Mm-hmm. Something neat, but we'll see.
We'll see, or we'll see in about a week and a half. It's gonna be coming.
Exactly right.
Well, now with the gimmicky thing, this is something I didn't get a chance to talk about when I did spoilers, because I didn't have a whole lot of time doing that. And I talked with a couple people on Discord, But that's really one of the things that's really interesting, because they've got a lot of stuff. They've got a couple gimmicky things, mainly against psychers. They've got a couple other they've got some demon hate. They've got the psyker stuff, and then I think there's one more, right?
What do you mean?
Oh, I'm trying to think, like a card that does a little extra.
Precog, yeah.
Precog.
The 7-drop, rally, remove
Yes.
stealth, and precog.
So, like, that's the first time, like, in other factions, you've got your general stealth hate, you've got damage, vehicle damage, but, like, no other mechanic is singled out by another card pool, like Silver Bullet style, the way that they've done with the Sisters. There's nothing that's like, if unit has Drop Pod, do this. If unit has Bastion, do this. If unit has Terror, do this. It's the first time we've seen that. And it is one of those things where, like, that's what makes it feel gimmicky. Unlike any other Legion, like, yeah, it is a small pool. It's beaten down on a card pool that's already pre-thrashed. So either are they doing that to buff Thousand Suns down the road, or are they doing that because maybe in the future we might see similar Silver Bullet things added to other factions,
That's fair. I mean, like, the getting rid of precognition, to be honest, doesn't matter unless you're versing Araman. Like, what precog cards in the game do you use other than Kai? Mm-hmm. And do you really want to wait till 7 energy to deal with a 2-drop?
Right. Yeah, that's not going to be as effective. You throw out earlier, and they've got other answers for that. But if you've got a whole board precogged, or I think that the next best thing, like maybe in a selected format, you might have a 4 or 5 cost that somehow has got precognition on it, like Severian or something like that. But that is not. You're more likely to encounter stealth troops in that state.
That's exactly right. And like 7 energy, 7/7, that gets rid of all stealth. Good card. You play one of it.
Yeah.
No reason not to at that point.
Yeah, see, the Sisters do have an issue, I think, and I think it might end up coming into it a bit. They've got banger 3-drops, banger 4-drops, but, like, they're legendary 6-drop. Yeah, it's like they've got some cool stuff as well, but it's like a 6-drop 3/3 that does a thing, an 8-drop 4/4 that does a thing. It's like, I get it. It's cool, because the thing they do is awesome, but it's when you're playing an 8-drop, at that stage, you really need an 8-drop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, and I think Raptor Guard looks good on paper, but it won't be very good in reality.
No.
It's really good in the event when you can draft 3 or 4 of them, but beyond...
Oh, no, in the event, it's fucking game-changing. But if you think in ladder play, when, the card you have to compare it to is Desperate Defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Rally Heal 5 to your Warlord. Cool, that's a nice heal at the end, that can change the game. 9 attack will kill half the things that you're gonna get out of... Desperate Defense, you kill one of them, and then the other one swings back and kills you, maybe, because half the time that other thing has shield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, I get they have other ways to deal with it, like the 7-drop gem and stun them all, and then the following turn you can, the 8-drop to kill them. But, like, I just think that it's terror. If for a 10-drop, give it sneak attack.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, especially for a 10-drop legendary, that could be a thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Or give it unstoppable. Like the legendary 7-drop.
Oof.
From thing,
the Sanguinary
Guard.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly, it's like, come on. Like, I get the heal 5 is cool, like, that's nice, but 10-drop 9/7 Flank and Terror, that might kill a thing. Because if you think the stuff you get out of Desperate Defense, it's going to kill Doombringer without dying. That's it.
Yeah.
Because everything else, you got 9 attack or higher.
Yep. The Lernia Hydra's a 9 attack, the Abomination... Yeah, those 9s and 10s. 9s pretty much across the board.
Yeah, you've got Cage, you've got your Hydra, you've got...
Or even if they've got 8 attack, they might have like 10 or 12 health,
Yeah. You've got your Zeth, you've got the AI, and then... I guess it does kill demons, like Seducer or Sophic or whatever it's called. Like Father of Decay, mostly kills and stuff like that. But other than the demons, the rest of the stuff you're going to want to get off Desperate Defense, other than Doombringer, it won't kill.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, it kills, 3 or 4 out of your 10 choices out of it. Then the other one just trades back into it.
One thing that's interesting about the faction, I mean, I'm not going to go to because I've seen this in the event, and this is a decent idea. The Jewel of Ultramar is a neutral all their stuff is infantry. So there's not like some Astartes or some vehicles. Like they've got a couple vehicles, but like their warlords currently are pretty infantry troop oriented. So that's a good card if you can get that 10 drop off at 9 or 8. Or you've got Outraged Noble, you know, who's got Duplicitous, and maybe he can bring some of those higher cost troops into play earlier. Might not be too bad. Like, obviously there's other things that you've got to deal with, but if he survives, then you're able to bring in on the following turn your 6 drops or your 7 drops or your a cheaper 5 drop that's, you know, whether it's the Captured Psyker or the Asps, you know, it's like having them as a reduced cost hard removal. I'm going to pass on Captured Psyker. Like, if it comes up in a game because of a backlash ability or an event, that's fine, but I wouldn't.
Man, I love his art. It looks so dumb. I will not include him in a deck, but...
it's a worse and a Kappa.
If it was Resolution, I'd use him, without a doubt, but it's not. It's Relentless.
Yeah.
It's very easy to control, which is fine. That makes sense. You know, it's basically, like you said, it's the old Mechanicum troop all over again, but in a faction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the idea behind it, though, is that the 6-drop spawns it.
Yes. Yeah. Right. She throws
it's like you would never play Jackal. Like, you would never play Cyber Jackals, but the other guy spawns them, and you would never play Novice Sister, but it's the fact that the other troop can spawn them. That's why they're there.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Now, if you look at their warlords, I've said this before in my video, but the 30 health, I'm going to call it a 33 health warlord, and the legendary are insane. They're both amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the 35 health one is very good. Like, the draw a card, you know, if you're using that ability and you only have 3 cards in hand, it's like, okay, you have to draw 2 cards that turn. Like, cool. So late game, I guess if you've dumped your hand, it's kind of cool. But the legendary warlord, the +2/+1 is insane, and the Greater Destiny card. So you're a 130, but really you're a 233 after turn 1.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's not like she's not amazing because she's gonna have a dead turn no matter what, but she's unique and that's nice.
Yeah, she's and like the thing about
in a legion of the same.
That's exactly right. And you think, like, okay, if they go first for whatever reasons, okay, you deal 1 less damage to them because there's probably not a single warlord in this game that wouldn't attack when you've only got 1 health.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 attack. Right, for the most part, like, okay, you deal 1 less damage that turn, whatever. So, and, you know, eventually you could be a 3 with the 3 extra healing in the end for the 4 energy at the end or whatever. So 3 attack with 36 health is pretty not too bad, you know, at the end of the day.
Though the fact that it returns the deck makes it kind of obnoxious.
Well, it returns the deck and then doubles, does it double or adds 2 to the cost? Adds 2 to the cost.
2.
Yeah. So, I mean...
So you will hit a point where you can't play it. It should cap at 10.
Right. At some point, you're just going to be able to play it. And then if you are, at that point, you're like, do you really want to spend 8 or 10 energy for that effect? Or are you better off playing some other cards?
That's exactly right. But I mean, to be honest, after you've played it the first time and then the second time, that's all you should need to play during the game.
I agree. Yeah. I think 2 would be the ideal play. Like, because you can't reduce the cost, so it's never going to be higher. Like, once you get to 6 cost, it's going to be at 6 cost. You're better off with the 3 attack. Maybe at that point, maybe you've got an execution blade on it. But I think really her ability to choose a sister is, like, you use it, you've got a dead turn, pumping your health.
Yeah.
But then from then on, you're drawn in the toolbox, whether you're going and keep cycling for that, you're trying to get the Euphemia King, the 4-drop legendary, so you can throw her over and over and over at your opponent for 6, or you're bringing in, you know, your flankers or your white ass, whatever it is that you think you might need to prep for. That's pretty good. Like, the 35 health lets you just draw cards. It's any card. That's got its pluses too, and the one thing that she has over the legendaries, because the legendary is card dependent, and if she doesn't get her cards, or she can't keep her troops on board, she's gonna run out of steam. But
I feel as if in play you can play so many cards that'll draw you easy. Play Band Supplies, you play bloody Letitia, you've got enough
Void
draw.
Engagement, you've got a lot of things that offer her draws to get that up there. For me, I like have the Tacholka engine in with her, as well as with the Kendril, because you have another 2 or 1 out of 3 troops that you get to pick and choose. So you have a better chance as far as getting a troop that you want to play and buff that turn with her battle honor if possible.
Yeah. And they've probably got the best counterattack in the game.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's pretty close to, I'd say at least top 5.
And
in a game that has a +1 to a unit, having a +1/+1 to a unit is troop is arguably better.
The reason for it being strong though is that they're high initiative. It's compared to Raven Guard, who've got the high initiative, so you hardly ever actually get it. But when you do, it's because you're fighting another high initiative warlord.
Mm-hmm. And in a pinch, it's any troop, so you can actually buff your opponent's troop and then white asp it.
Oh yeah, that is an option.
Or use or buff it and then have your flanker, because there's a couple cards that I've done that once in an event. It's very nice. They don't expect it, but you certainly can. So keep that in mind.
I didn't even think about that, but you're right. You can absolutely do that to get the sneak attack off. That's insane.
Yep. And it's 0 cost too, so it's it's not 1. I mean, I think we have one counterattack that costs 1 energy, so it's going to be 0. So you're just for free, throwing in the asp. You thought that 6 attack was a borderline. Nope, he's gone. It's just a tech play. It's not something I would play. I would generally prefer to have my troops stick around and be healthier, but that is a way to go.
Yeah. So they've got some so good cards though. There's so many here that are just
it's almost hard to pick, in some of the instances, you just want to throw everything in your deck. Not all of it. It depends on which way you're going. I think though, for most of the 2 decks that I've got, it's kind of, granted I don't have all the cards, but right now it's 17 troops, 13 tactics, most of which are all sisters cards. There's a few standard staples and generics in there, but I'm just trying to squeeze in everything I can to try to get the most out of it. And I haven't really found yet any of the cards that I'm using I don't dislike. Now there's cards I passed on, and we mentioned the Captured Psyker. I would probably pass on Frozen Heart personally. I just think that's... Is that the 8 cost 4/4, or is it 6? Whatever it is, backlash. But that's useless. Yeah, that's just, I dislike that. Need the stat buff. It should be like a 6/6, because then at that point it's in Legion, so it's not that strong. It's basically at that point a shittier Death Shroud, because then you still have to replay it to get the 6/6 instead of it doesn't even put it into play. It just puts it returns it to your hand, so it doesn't go away. The only upside, I guess, is you get a front line, but then you didn't have a front line to begin with. If it had front line on its own, maybe? Oh, it could be good. Or if it had flank. Yeah, if it had flank, that'd be really good, because then you could chuck it at something and then gain a front line from it as well. Yeah, yep. You could actually use it at that point, but that's not what we got. But not every card's going to be fire, and if that's one that kind of falls through, that's okay. But they do kind of lack in the end game. Yeah, definitely. They're the only warlord who's got an option in the end game, depending on the matchup and how that's going, is Krull. I think she's the better of the 3 currently. Because if she can get that Reckoning, she can combo with a couple little damage bursts, and then boom, you're that sentence 2, you're on. The other ones, it's really okay, do I have some troops that have survived that are buffed that can finish the job? There's no, aside from the 4-drop that deals 6 conditionally, if they don't have any troops, there's no end game finisher for the faction. There's some status adjustment cards, but there's no end game card. You're exactly right. They should be, they need sort of something maybe at the end game, but I feel as if they're going to be dominant enough for their 3-drops. Every single 3-drop is fire. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stun, it's insane. Give can attack, damage all, give sneak attack. What's not to like? I think the 3-drop is definitely their sweet spot for sure. And then, absolutely. It's hard not to like the faction as is. Yeah. I reckon they'll stay the same for a little while. I reckon some stuff might change in Iron Fists for a little bit, the resolution. Especially the battle in Iron Fist, the best update we got so far. You mean the Imperial Fists? Imperial Fist, god damn it! I even looked at the name! We're adding it to the checklist, boys.
It's alright. If you ever watch my streams, pronunciation is a suggestion and
That's
spelling's
right.
out the window.
Next,
Does it please you to witness my shame? Says Logo.
No.
the next
Every
faction
time.
will be agents of the Sage or Malcador's agents.
Agents of the Sage.
We'll just call them Men in Black. It's
Just
fine.
call them the Inquisition because that's really what they were.
Nah,
Well,
these
yeah.
are mixtures stuff. This ain't the Inquisition yet.
I know, but I mean, hey,
You're
neither
more
were
with
they.
the brain.
Neither were they Sisters of Battle. So let's just keep true to our word.
Nah, Sisters of Silence didn't even come to Sisters of Battle. This is basically
I
the what is it? Grey Knights and the Assassins meet up to beat up other people.
Well, yeah, because the Sisters of Battle didn't happen until after Sebastian Thor, correct?
Yeah, after a certain someone decided to
Have a little ecclesiarchy cult that almost corrupted and overtook the Imperium, and then the sister, whoever it was like, you know what, this has gone on too long. We have to break
the
ourselves.
custodians noticed and came out of hiding for once and went, "Listen, y'all need to clean up your act now." And the brides of the Emperor went, "Aight," and they cut off his head.
It's out. Hey, don't mess around. That's just it. Just don't mess with the sisters.
Yeah. Some life advice for Goj Vandire, a man who's now dead. Don't put your dick in crazy. You learn the hard way.
Was that his name? Who was Sebastian
Goj
Thor then?
Vandire.
Was
No,
Sebastian?
Sebastian Thor. It's happened multiple times. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that was just another person who did it.
Oh, okay, because that's who I always thought it was Sebastian Thor. So it's happened multiple times over 10,000 years. That seems about right. It's gonna happen once or twice, every now and then.
Yeah, someone's gonna go crazy more than once. It's a fact of life.
So out of the three warlords, then, who would you say? I mean, between the two, you've mentioned the rare and the legendary. Which one do you like the most?
Legendary.
Yeah, definitely legendary. I think she'll be the most useful, specifically because of the battle honor.
Yeah, she has no active ability, so that's all she's got going for her except a Reckoning, which is not that hard to get because everyone misread it when it first came out. They went 20 cost, and it's at the end of the enemy's turn he has no troop. Bleh.
Yeah, you'll never get
No.
that.
Right.
Oh, this is if end of every turn.
Yeah, every turn it
Yeah.
ticks down pretty fast in some matchups for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the Executioner's Blade, you've got so many ways to enable her to be able to kill things in the early game to buff troops that you should have such early game dominance.
Well, on second turn, if you've got Raven's Claw, she's got 3 attack, and then the Raven's Claw becomes a 5/4.
That's exactly right. And then if you went second, you can buff it.
Yeah, it's just
You have a 6/5 turn too.
these guys are going to lock things down. Yeah, I agree. It takes me a little used to because I enjoy playing warlords who've got abilities, and there's only a few that don't. But
Yeah.
it's really nice when to see that battle honor kick up. And
Usually I don't enjoy playing warlords that don't have some sort of ability as well. Like I don't like playing Blood Angels. Dude, what's his name? Sanguinius, because he is incredibly draw dependent. I don't really like playing Rust again for the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel as if this one will be okay because the ability keeps you on board. It doesn't. It's not like, oh, my ability has to do with something else. Like, no, if you can get one troop on board and you can make it stick, then you can keep it up.
Yes, yep, and whether that is, and because it goes with any troop, and I've had that where I've got Eckertrez juiced up, and he's he's either healing me or then he becomes like an 8 attack in stealth mode, or Kai's Lane, or anything that's got already kind of some degree of protection. The Remer, the 7/3 stealth, which basically on your turn you can make it into a 9/4. That is likely to survive most anti-RNG stealth hate. So, and it has sneak attack. Yeah, she's got a lot of potential, and it's
Absolutely.
All she has to do is attack a troop and be able to finish it.
If she ends up becoming popular, I see them nerfing her to give +2/+0.
I could see that. Like keep the health low, give the attack high. That'd be a simple enough change. Or even, if they made it +1/+1, I think that would be going too far in one direction the other way. But I think the attack is what helps, because not only of just the faction in general has a lot of low attacks, right? Like it's not up until their 7 drops that you really kind of start to see some 7/8 attacks. Most of it's like 4s or 3s.
Yeah. It's extremely low.
And
You look at that 6 drop. There's a 3-3, a 3-3, and a 4 and a 5-4.
Right, and then the 3-3 brings in some 2-2-3. So like you need ways to increase the attack for those troops, whether they've got terror or sneak or flank. It doesn't matter. Like low attack at some point in the game isn't going to do you any good. So they need to have the attack.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? That card, the 6-drop 3-3 that spawns the 2 jackals. That's absolutely to be used with discipline. Give them +2 and sacrifice, deal 2 damage to a random enemy.
Yes. Oh yeah.
When I first read that card, I was like, oh, this card's not that great. But then I'm like, wait, no, the 7-drop in Ultramarines that did almost the exact same thing is amazing.
Yes, and this is for cheaper and for a faction that has other ways to spawn multiple units pretty decently, you know. So yeah.
I absolutely agree. Now it's 2 random damage, not 2 damage to everything. So that's the downside there, but I don't think it matters that much.
No, at that point you can still kind of direct the flow of the damage, unless your opponent's got a board full of like high health troops.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly right.
In terms of, I mean, just from wrapping up for first impressions, in terms of the faction as a whole, like what would you say are your 3 favorite cards on first impressions?
Psychic and Anima, the jam and stun on everything. Insane, and then the Cull, absolutely. And then after that, the Raven's Claw, the 3-3 that gives +1 in sneak attack.
All right. What about you, Axel?
I gotta give it to the Cull. That's just a classic.
Mm-hmm.
I love Kroll being in there because she's one of my favorite characters of the Sisters of Silence. As she's one of the few I actually know by name, and her gimmick's nice. And as it should be called, the Great Titties, their Conqueror that hurts. Man, that thing's killed me in an event when I thought I was safe from it too many times.
Tithe, right?
Yeah.
That will grab you when you least expect it. I thought I was safe sitting at a nice 12 HP with their board and my board. I wasn't in lethal next turn because I was hiding. Boom. Entire board gone and I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yep. The card's pretty nuts.
I don't know. Like I agree. I think Psychic Anathema is just like crazy. And that's the card that people have wanted. Can we get a Jamal? How about we do?
Get a Jamal? And everyone just loses it.
And it also has stun all too. Like
you know what I wish they did? I wish they messed up and applied the stun then the jam. So the stun would be worse. I'm so sad they didn't mess up.
It's 8 for once they did it right.
That's actually the one reason why I think their worst 3-drop was the one that was spoiled. The 2-4 jamming and troop damage by this, and then the pay 1 to deal 2 damage because it'll deal the 2 before jamming the card.
Right. It's like, well, that's not as good. Now, this one, like, if this did damage, if the Psychic Anathema did even 1 damage, it would be bonkers.
Yeah.
But I think that one, for me, Raven's Claw, I really like. I think it's a hard call between the Cull and the Great Tithe. I would probably say the Cull, though, because board 3 wide damage, for me, is just always never a bad thing. So I have to agree. Those are my picks.
The fact that we all picked the Cull tells you how goddamn strong that card is.
Yeah, absolutely. They've
said the joke's been around for a while that Death Card's special faction ability is the Endurance.
Yeah, and this is just Endurance for better.
This is
People hit me with, but Endurance heal my board. I get my energy back.
I wish the energy back isn't that good on turn 6 because you might be able to play a 2-drop. It's good on 10 energy. Let me play a 6-drop afterwards.
Right. Let me play another Cull.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with it. Also, I mean, the Endurance is for Death Guard. Like, yeah, you heal 3 to your board, but sometimes it's just your Warlord that you're getting 3 off, so you hold it for a long time, where this one is like, okay, you may not heal anything, but you're going to be able to play a card that you can, follow it up with, and now your opponent hopefully doesn't have a board on top of that. So you've got some sticky stuff. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
All right, well, that is first impression, sisters. The next part here, we're going to talk about the World Cup, and this is going to be, we're just under the hour mark here, so hopefully we've got enough time to gear it all up. World Cup qualifiers have wrapped up. I think that they wrapped up late last week, and teams currently are in. How many teams we got here? We've got 17 teams. It looks like, if I'm counting this correctly.
That's more than last year.
Yeah, how many did we have last year? 16.
It was 4 groups, and there was 4 to 5 in each, I think.
Okay, so
maybe about the same.
Yeah, I can't, because I remember it was the 4 groups, and it might be about the same.
Yeah, probably the same actually.
But but we've got a team from Africa, which is not a country, by the way, but the whole continent.
Wow.
So, I mean, but so is Australia, right?
Yeah, well, sort of both.
It's both. It's both a continent and a country. So, Asia
And an island.
Yeah, you got it all covered. South America, USA plus Mexico, and then Canada. So that's the North America side. The England or the UK team, as well as Kazakhstan, Russia, France, Italy, the Nordics, which is Sweden, Norway, and Finland, if I recall correctly, Germany, Poland, the Balkan Miners, Spain and Portugal as a team, and then Belarus and Ukraine. So some of these teams obviously are combined areas or territories just because there's only individual players, but that's a lot of teams.
Good amount.
And I haven't talked, I don't know when they're going to be starting Warlord selection. Obviously we don't have that information. When we get that, we can figure out what the actual selections are going to look like. From the sounds of it, at least today, as of today, Imperial Fist and Sisters are probably not going to be allowed, so most likely it's going to be using cards prior to this faction, so we're going to probably see similar cards, similar deck choices that were used in the qualifiers, but that may change if there's like some substantial patches. I guess that might happen before then or not. We'll find out. But let's
ban Knights.
Yeah, did he? That's right. He did ban Knights, so their Knights are not in here, which may affect some of the choices to begin with.
Yeah, I also don't agree with that ban.
Yeah,
1 out of 9.
I mean,
yeah, because the way it is, every player has got to have 3 warlords, right? And then every one of those warlords has to be from a different faction, so you're going to have 9 different factions. And you're right, it is 1 out of 9. Like, yeah, it could be a strong game if they pull it out, but that it's not a guaranteed. And if you are matching up against the player who has got the Knights card,
you know they're going to play it.
Mm-hmm. And then you can can tech against it ideally as well.
Yeah, it's like the smart players won't play it first because they're expecting you to play it first, but it's like, as soon as they win a game, you know they're most likely going to play that Knight deck. And if they don't, well, extra good.
Right, yeah, they held back, and that was, at that point, that's kind of that's on them.
I'm pretty sure Imperial Fist and Sisters are also banned from the tournament.
They will be, yeah, because people they won't want people who don't have the money to just buy all the crates to not have a disadvantage.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
The current expansions to stay out.
It typically, in most big organized tournaments, like the most recent set is not legal. Like,
yeah,
when they make the set legal for play, that's the first tournament where you see all the stuff where you're like, oh boy, here we go. Like, here's the stuff that people are going to be complaining about for the next 3 months. And
that's exactly right. So should we go through the teams top to bottom?
Yeah, let's go starting at the top. So we've got, from Team Africa, we've got Chuckles 616.
I don't know who that is.
I believe he is in Trader's End, but I don't know if he plays ladder. But I don't really know. The name is familiar. Wet Spam and Ghost. I think, is this the same Ghost that's on Discord?
Yeah, it's Ghost 0900.
Okay. What about Wet Spam?
Never.
I think it's from Masterclass.
Okay.
I think, and from memory,
I love this of all. Maybe.
Yeah, we're not sure. Some of the names aren't familiar.
Luckily, as this goes lower down the list, we'll recognize all the names. So
this is true.
Hopefully. Look, I recognize the name Wet Spam, so I'm pretty sure it's a decent, like a good player.
Okay, all right. And Ghost, is he in MC or is he in?
He's Hop Lodges a lot. I think right now he's in 500 Worlds.
Okay.
Or he's in, or he's in like the Brotherhood. Yes, that's their name.
The Brotherhood. Okay.
Actually, aren't you in their lodge system? I don't remember their name.
Hey, you should know. Come on.
I don't.
Team Australia. That's your team, Vapix.
Yeah.
We've got
Fulgrim 14. He's a
horrible player.
Yeah.
He's terrible. Don't worry about him. He's the weak link.
He's the weak link.
Next guy, never heard of. And then Mercury, he was former War Master. No, Vapix he's pretty good. He's okay.
I like to think so.
You know, I still think Team Canada is going to kick his ass because Team Canada.
This is a team of 3 War Masters, right?
It is.
Yeah, we've got 3 War Masters on Team Australia, all solid players.
It's going to be a very big thing. I think so. This is actually a very similar team to last year.
Well, yeah, I think I remember you were on it. I don't know about Mercury or Fulgrim, although I would bet Fulgrim was on it. But I remember
He absolutely was.
Last year? Did you guys have a big qualifier, or was it just the 3 players?
No, it was a big qualifier. I think there was, Lord Salt. I think it was like 10 of us or something.
So this time around, was the qualifier smaller?
Yeah. So it was just the 3 of us and Bogan Terminator.
Okay.
So a lot smaller.
So for the opposite for USA, we had a smaller qualifier last year, and this year we had a much bigger qualifier. So interesting.
So, well, I'm happy with that team this year. To be honest, it's technically slightly stronger than last year because Fulgrim and I were there, and we had Invictus, who wasn't a War Master. So now we've got 3 War Masters.
Now, legitimately, it's a War Master team. All right.
So for reference, we ended up coming 3rd last year.
Yes. You guys were 3rd again with 2nd France, and then 1st was Russia.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Team Asia is Rex Colt.
Amazing player.
Spellbreaker.
Also amazing player.
And Bear?
Never heard of him.
I've never heard of Bear either.
Oh, Bearer of the Word. I'm
Is it
pretty sure that's his name.
Bear of the Word?
I'm pretty sure that's who it is.
So I know Rex Colt has been a War Master. Spellbreaker 2, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got 2 War Masters on that team. For going back to Team Africa, has Ghost ever been a War Master? I don't think so.
No, he hasn't.
All right. And not that you have to be a War Master to play, but these are just in terms of listing and explaining the statuses of the players that are involved in the tournament. I think it's worth noting.
Rex Colt
if you're a War Master
last season.
Rex Colt was last season's War Master. And was he running Vale?
I think so.
Okay.
I kept asking people today who was last time's War Master, and they left me on red, basically. So it's good to finally hear the answer. It's Rex Colt, which makes sense.
You can always check it in game.
Yeah,
I could Vapix, but I'm also lazy, and at the moment I was driving, so I couldn't.
There you go.
South America, we've got Van Bonning, who is the global Emperor's Champion fanboy.
Absolutely, also a good player.
Yes.
He'll make Lucius work in high
yes, yeah. One day he's gonna claim that War Master spot with Lucius. It's gonna happen.
Oh, I sure hope so. Got to continue that LCFR mental.
Yes. Pharaoh.
No idea.
I've heard of him.
The name is familiar, but I don't know.
I see him appear in chat a couple times. I don't really know the guy.
And then Andre 5661.
Again, no idea.
No,
literally got no idea.
Neither do I. So, and we go into USA plus Mexico. We've got GMAT.
Yep.
Good player. We've got number 1.
Another good player.
And we've got Diamond, which I think is actually Draconic Slayer in-game, correct?
Draconic Slayer, yeah. An overly cocky player.
I would say
that is the best way to describe him.
Yeah, and this is a totally different team from the U.S. team last year. Last year it was myself, Phil Carey, and Easy Almighty. So we've got some good players here. I think I'm feeling confident with GMAT and Juan in there. Diamond for me is kind of like the wild card, so we'll see.
Yeah, Diamond is a wild card. He's not bad at the game, but he's too cocky, and it'll cost him wins sometimes.
Could be. Has GMAT or Juan ever been a War Master?
No, I don't think so. I know Juan has, but maybe GMAT.
I would think, I know Juan's been up there, and they've both been in top 50 numerous times. I can't recall.
Definitely.
To me, once you've hit top 50, let's say 3 seasons in a row, you're a War Master.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's a commitment, and you've proven it time and time again. So, we go into Canada. We've got Pirate Lie.
Strong team.
Yes. We've got LCFR.
Another great player.
And Grumpy Ghosts.
Also a great player.
Never heard of them. What's their Discord tag?
I couldn't tell you because I'm not like that, but very good. I know all 3 players. Grumpy Ghost at least, but
in the main chord is what I'm trying to say.
Probably. I know Pirate and LC. I don't know Grumpy, but that's a solid team.
Has tagged all of them, so I could just go in the Canadian.
He's Uncooked Milk in the Discord.
Oh yeah, I know that person.
I do not. I've never heard of him, but there we go. So we've got those 2, and I know Pirate has been a War Master. I don't think LC ever made War Master.
Oh yeah,
no, but he could have. The reason why he didn't, because he would go from 2,000 points to 5,000 points in 3 days, and then drop the same amount the next day, just because he's memeing.
Yeah,
Get so
like
high and then
LCFR
go right
is
back
a
down.
force of power. You can't
Yeah.
stop him.
All right, and we go into the Team UK. We've got Magnus the Reddest,
Good player.
Cold
Yeah,
Storm.
definitely.
I don't
Yeah.
know who that is.
I
No.
don't know who that is either. And who won the game between Steve and Pyrrhus? Because these guys are both still on here, but I know that they were the deciding game.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I wasn't keeping up with them.
I wasn't listed. This is the last game that's on here. This hasn't been updated. I don't know. One of those guys is on the team.
Yeah, okay. Both great players, anyways.
Yeah. Now, have any of these made War Master?
No, I don't think so.
Like, I don't know if Pierce has. I know Steve and Pierce are in top 50. I don't know Magnus the
time.
Redis or Cold Storm at all.
No, Magnus definitely hasn't. Steve definitely hasn't. I'm pretty sure Pyrus hasn't, and Cold Storm, I don't think so.
Okay.
No. All right, now here's a fun names where I'm going to just say gibberish for the second and third one, and you can't stop me.
That's fair. That's fair. I'll let you read these names. You go for it. This is Team Kazakhstan.
All right, we got Toxic Bulb. He's a strong player. I've seen him a couple of times. He's pretty good. We got Stalin Lenin Vodka. No idea who that man is because that name is not English.
Yep.
And we got Kyrgyzstan Ukraine as the second person. No idea who he is either. I'm going to assume he's a strong player because he's in here.
You're absolutely right. Like, who knows, right?
Yeah, their names are in
less than
Krillic.
no-
They're most likely in a Krillic named lodge. I think that's the proper term for the letters that they're using.
Oh my god, that's Kazakhstan. So when I called it Kyrgyzstan, I wasn't happy.
You weren't too far
I
off.
thought we were talking about
But yeah, likely.
which Team Russia. Kane. I'm guessing it's
Yeah, likely
Oh, sorry.
good players.
Kinda jumped the gun on that.
Oh, that's okay. Likely good players, but
Yeah.
I don't think any of them have hit War Master.
No.
I would
We would've
recognize.
heard
We would have heard one of those names. We'd be like, "What? Who?"
Yeah.
We've probably seen their in-game tag. So a lot of times
Probably.
the in-game tag is the same as they put there.
Yeah, that's
You got to
true.
be simple like me and put Axel J. Manning on literally everything, and then you're Gucci.
Keep it the same. Team Russia. Now, before we go into Team Russia, because they were, I know last year we were just talking when we talked with LCFR when he was on. He was mentioning how big their qualifier was. I'm kind of curious this because I didn't get a chance to look at here. How many players from Team Russia actually signed up to play this time around? Because I think he said last year it was like 30. This I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like
If you hear
8.
anymore,
It looks
it's my
like
cat.
maybe 8 might have signed up. So a lot less players have signed up for this particular UK, but they had a qualifier nonetheless. And we've got Kane, which I believe is
Double
Cyphus
Master.
Kane, correct?
Yeah, they're double master.
Double War Master. Margot?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Don't know. Colonel Gaunt.
Also a very strong player.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have heard about him. He's quite good.
Yeah, the name I recognize. I don't know who Margot is. And then obviously Kane, he plays quite a bit. And I know he's got the Twitch that he plays on as well. So,
Yeah.
Yep. I should recognize
I see
him. He posts the Cyphus Kane image every time he posts up the stream. So that's how I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Team France. We've got this is going to be an Orcish.
Orthanol.
It's Orthanol. That is
Is it?
yeah.
Yes, it is a tag.
That's Girok Uvdaka is actually how you say Orthanol in Orcish.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah. Most people don't understand that, but, you know. For the
Bulgar
cultured individuals.
I've heard the name. Pretty sure it's a strong player.
and Callion.
And
I
I've
know
got no idea.
they are a pretty good player.
Are they? I only recognize Orthanol. And Orthanol, he's pretty cagey. He's like an orc. He's sneaky, but he's cagey at the same time. So
He plays the dumbest deck sometimes.
he does, but he plays them well. He plays them well.
He does.
Oh, yeah,
He does.
definitely.
All right, Team Italy. We've got Ascendant,
Again, good player.
Paco Contardi.
Close enough, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. Varen. I've seen Varen before. He's a good player.
Okay.
And then for
We're
the
hitting a few
Nordic
kills.
team, we've got Alex87.
Great player.
He's a very good player.
Yep, pretty good player.
He's a Thiel expert. Tribune,
yeah.
also a good player.
Yep.
And Lurifax,
Also a great
also
player.
a good player. So that's a
another
good
good
team.
player.
I don't think has Tribune made War Master. Do we know? I don't think so. I don't think any of these have
don't-
hit War Master.
No,
The
but again,
Nordics
they're top
come out
50 all the time.
They are. These guys are consistent top performers. Team Germany, we've got Konstantin Valdor.
Yeah, insane player.
Yep.
The
B-side.
best custodian player. Another good
Absolutely.
Yeah. B-side.
B-side, I have no idea.
He's up in top.
B-side's a good player.
Yeah, he's good. He's up in the top right now, if I recall correctly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Midnight, also a really good player.
Yeah, B-side is currently number one.
Yeah, so I mean that's a solid team. That's a solid. Wait,
yeah.
Now has Constantine or B-side made War Master?
Constantine's been very close a couple of times, I think, but I don't think he's ever actually got it.
Yeah, so I mean,
if the stars align, we may see B-side as our next one.
He's got a solid lead right now if he can keep it up. I mean, we've got, granted, it's only the 8th of May, but
yeah, that's fair.
Team Poland is Turberus, good player. He's been a long time player. I am Deer.
No idea.
Vert.
Again, not a clue.
Not a clue. No idea.
Turberus I know about, but like the last two, just no.
Balkan Miners. We've got Dole 7.
If he doesn't play Assassin, I'm going to riot.
Well, Juan would say he's a trash player, but I've heard that he's a good player. He's up there good. A lot. Yeah.
He gave me an Assassin deck that was good.
He's Asmodai.
Great player.
And then
is
Weiss a good player. I've faced off. He's good.
Yeah, he's very good.
Spain and Portugal. We've got Rubersmund. Very good player. Very good player. Raza, also very good player.
Yeah. Has he been Warmaster?
I believe both Rubers and Raza have been Warmaster. Yeah.
Rube's definitely been, Raza, yeah.
Yeah. Kishiro is the only name I don't recognize out of those three. I don't recognize that name. And then last but not least, Belarus and Ukraine. We've got Lamia.
Amazing player. Warmaster.
He was Warmaster? Mm-hmm. Okay. Melkor, also Warmaster. Under asterisk circumstances.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And Corswain.
I don't know.
I don't know who Corswain is. I would imagine that's his actual name because everybody else's, but you never know. So I mean, some very good players, some very strong teams.
Absolutely,
like looking at the field at the competition. Is there any? I mean, the way the tournament is going to go, from what I recall, is how it went last year. Is you guys will pair off in 4 different paired groups, and then everybody will do a round robin for round 1, and then the top 2 teams out of each group will advance to the top cut. So then we should end up with 8 teams that are then going to play through single elimination to get to the top 3. And we don't know the pairings yet, or how those groups are going to be set up yet. So kind of curious to see how that will go. But from your perspective, what teams are you on the lookout for?
I mean, definitely Asia, definitely Canada, definitely Europe, Russia. We got Nordics.
Before he named every team,
Germany,
all 16 other teams.
I reckon there's probably how when you watch the Soccer World Cup or whatever, the Football World Cup, and there's always that group called the Hell Group, where it's Italy and England, all those top players it's the Hell Group because it's the group you don't want to be in. There's going to be 3 Hell Groups.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to be in elimination. Lamia or Melkor. I don't want to be there with Rubus and Raz. I don't want to be there with Dolls and Wes. There's just so many.
Yeah, it's because I know when in the first World Cup, that was our group. I forget the other teams, but it was us and Russia were in the same group. It's oh man, Russia's going to take it, so we've got to take at least second, so we make it on. And we did, but you don't want to be there's one group that you're okay, they're in here too. We've got to do better than them. And if you've got 2 or 3 teams in each of those groups, then you've got 2 teams to try to do better than, at least. Yeah.
So, I don't think there's a single free win in this.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think even though there are some names that we don't recognize, every team has got at least one solid player who, if they're playing right as a team, once they've got this team decided, they should be talking together, helping making decisions as far as how their deck warlords are going to look, and then they'll probably talk before matchups and give encouragement. And I would imagine that that's just the case, that what they'll do to try to, hey, you're going to be facing off against this guy. Make sure you do this, and this. Give this game practice these matchups, and help each other out, and kind of run the gauntlet, so to speak.
That's exactly right. I always feel bad for my team because I kind of give the opponents an advantage where, since there'll be such a while between rounds, that once the rounds are done, I'm going to edit the footage and put it up on YouTube so people will be able to see my decks.
Yeah, that's one of the risks of being a content creator, right? Like you're like, I want to share this, but at the same time, like when you're playing for ladder or whether it's ladder or event, for you mostly it's ladder, then once that's out there, everybody's got it, and everybody can see, oh, that's what he's been using, and then they can either use it themselves or they can tech against it.
Yeah,
such is the way, and it's going to be doubly so with the tournament because you're going to be playing in it, and hopefully going on, and the longer you go, the more they can dissect what it is that you're playing.
that's exactly right. And all you got to do is play the mind games a little better.
That's true. You showed deck lists where there's like, it's a fake deck list. You're like, these are all the cards that I've got in my deck, and like none of them, like it's just like it's like a desperate defense Saul, and you're actually playing like some other deck completely.
Yeah, I mean, I
not
really
even fake, but it's cards that would work. So you got like Ultramarine cards in a EC deck, completely edited.
Yeah.
This is my deck list, guys. I got questions.
You got a question?
You got a question? What is it?
No, I was saying, you got questions. I got Emperor's Children and Ultramarines mixed together.
Oh.
Don't be jumpy.
They're actual Alpha Legion, don't worry about it.
They are kind
Oh,
of...
if Mr. Bug was still in the game, that would have been an option.
Get those cards stacked up.
I love the mind games that are in tournaments that aren't in ladder, because being able to go, okay, you've got these warlords, what do I think you're going to play?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have to double bait you, because it could just be as simple as, this is the warlord I'm best with, I'm going to play this deck. But once you kind of start versing other players who have played tournament a bunch, they start to mind game you back, so you have to out mind game their mind games.
Yeah,
and so it's
that
like,
becomes
okay,
a game in itself, because you're like, okay, but are you actually going to play with this card, or are you going to play with the other deck that I don't think that you're going to play with? And then, in the loop, you're like, I guess I'll just make it decks for 2 or 3 different ones and hope that you pick the right one. But you run through more than just one matchup in your head. Like, okay, what if he plays this card? Right. What if he plays this one card? Then that means that he's also playing these 3 other cards. Well, what if he doesn't? Then, yep.
That's why I think it's very important for each individual person with their 3 warlords to have 3 different styles. Like, I always like to build mine up to have a regular mid-range deck, and like, I'm going to basically reveal what I'm playing because it doesn't really matter, which is going to be Ahriman. So I'm very strong with him. Obviously, I warmaster with him, right?
What?
I know, crazy, right? How could you not guess, right? So then after that, I've also talked about this on stream, so a lot of people know. But then after you've got your kind of sort of solid deck that you like to play, you should have an aggro deck. So for me, that's Khan.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they've got Canis in their thing? Okay, well, I definitely want to take Khan against that. Oh, they've got Phaley? I definitely want to be able to play Khan,
Wait, are you saying Khan or Karn?
Khan, like the Bloodthirst.
Oh, okay, so the World Eater.
Yeah, World Eater Khan, yeah.
Okay, not Jagatai Khan. Okay.
We have to forgive you have to forgive him. Your upside down words are a bit confusing.
Well, the accent made it hard for me to hear the R. That's all. So okay.
No, that's sometimes I don't even say the R because I'm also a bit snuffly in the nose right now.
Yeah, I had to get tested for the vid today, so sickness is just going around.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then the third deck that I always like to take is something that has a lot of stealth, but I'm not really doing that this time because of reasons. But so you have an aggro deck, so they need heals. You have a mid-range deck, so they have to play solid. But then you've also got a deck that has a bunch of stealth cards, so they need to tech in anti-stealth cards. Which means during the first game, when they play a deck not sure what you should be playing, let's say I decide to play my Ahriman deck. They have to tech in cards to heal and stealth cards, giving them more or less, hopefully 3 or 4 dead cards in their deck in this matchup. Mm-hmm. Because if they don't have that anti-stealth or that heal, they will almost outright lose the other matches. More or less in stealth and the heals, but having that bait and saying, hey, look, you need to have this in, because if I decide to play the stealth deck and you haven't put any anti-stealth in, you're fucked.
Yeah. Well, and it goes even more so because this tournament, there's 3 warlord options as opposed to 2. So, and like exactly. You said, like if they tech it wrong and you match up incorrectly, and the same goes on your side, there's going to be dead cards. And if you had whereas if you had all your warlords all followed the same format, World Eaters aggro, White Scars aggro, something else aggro, I don't know, just pick one.
Ram.
Yeah, exactly. Then everything that they've got in every one of their decks is always going to give them, what they need against you to the best event possible, whether that's healing or precognition or attack negation or whatever the case. So if you spread that out, you also spread out how they have to build their decks to meet you or they have to just simply say, I'm not going to meet you at all and take the chances. And both of those draw a risk. So
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
A lot of mind games, and that just makes it much different from ladder. And to be honest, that's how so our Swiss rounds for our qualifiers weren't very long because there's only 4 of us. But my first match was against Mercury, and I really outmind gamed him because one of his cards that he has was Perturabo, and so I was playing Faili, Khan, and Araman as my decks, and I was like, well, he's absolutely going to play Perturabo first, so I'm not going to play Khan, and I'm not going to play Faili. And so I ended up beating him in that first match, and then I was like, okay, well, he should absolutely play Perturabo again, because it's good against Faili and it's good against Khan. Mm-hmm. It's even better against Khan, so I'm not going to play Khan, I'm going to play Faili, because at least I might have a chance there. Mm-hmm. And he ended up not playing it. I'm like, well, you really probably should have, because he expected me to play... he was expecting me to play Khan and change to... I can't remember what he changed to for some reason. And I was like, why would I play Khan when Perturabo is still a thing?
Right. Well, he was probably thinking, it's like, hey, well, that's just exactly like he thinks he'll pick the one because he's making it off of what you'll pick, and you're picking what you'll, and it's just that weird loop. And it is something that you get in the tournaments, at least for Legions. Like, that is one thing that's different from other card games. Like when I've played, in-person card games, like wherever your opponent's got the deck that they brought to the tournament that day, you sit down and you play. And with this type of tournament, because there's players that are getting paired up and it takes a little bit longer, you've got some time to retech out your deck. Each opponent is going to get a slightly retooled deck in one degree or another. Like, there might be only 1 or 2 cards that you're going to change, but you're going to make changes in between each of those. And then on top of that, with the Conquest format and the 3 Warlords, you're not even going to face the same thing. It's like kind of like a, pick a hand, and then that's what you're facing off against. So it's just kind of a unique thing, and it definitely adds a nice layer of nuance to it that makes it more engaging. And I don't know, like, I agree. I think it's really fun when you do a tournament that way, because, like, especially this one, having the 3 Warlords as opposed to the 2, where you otherwise you knew, like, okay, well, I beat him with so-and-so, so now he knows his second game is against Khan, that's, so he's going to throw everything that he's got against Khan in his next build, and then you're going to probably go to game 3.
That's why why I do like the 3 Warlords, because you still have that because the only thing that you're locked into is the Warlord. Your entire deck can change.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, and some of the Warlords, it's a lot of the Warlords, especially if you pick it right, like, you can change your whole deck and to meet any circumstance, or your whole deck is generally pretty good to meet, especially if it's like a mid-range style, you're pretty well set. Or aggro, you're going to do the same thing. You might throw in a couple other cards depending on what you're facing, but you can tool out a whole heck of a lot, and the card pool is getting bigger every expansion. So, at least for neutrals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Axel, what are your thoughts? Looking at these teams here, I'll get your thoughts. What are your top 3? Because I know we did our first initial picks before signups were even done and before qualifiers were even completed. But now that we've got the team lists here, I'm trying to remember, what were your top 3 going in, and what are your top 3 as of today?
My top 3 going in, I believe I said it to be Russia, America, and then I'm forgetting what my third team was. I think it was France, because France last time did really good. Mm-hmm. But this time around, I got to give it, I want to say Canada, number 1, simply because I'm Canadian. I do think they have the potential there. They have really good Canadian players. So
absolutely,
I definitely want to put them up there. I got to give, second to England. England's got some strong players. Like, they're coming swinging here. I can't recognize any of Kazakhstan's players, but I know Russia's coming in good. I want to give it to Germany as third, because Germany's got a lot of people. Nordic's not far behind, because their teams are coming out swinging this time around, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I feel as if every team's coming out swinging.
I know. I agree. What about you, Vapix? What are your top 3?
Absolutely.
You
first place is definitely going to be Australia.
All right. You can do that.
I mean, Australia's got 2 players and 1 unknown guy who, like Sisters of Battle, I guess.
But that's exactly right. Like, to be truthful, I reckon we have a decent shot again. Like, Legions is Legions, right? And sometimes you lose matches up because your deck goes, you're going to lose this game. Mm-hmm. But
you mean where I reckon 10 cards are all 9 costs?
That's exactly right, But But I'd say as a decent chance, I reckon we can again go as well as we did. As long as I kind of make it out of the group stage, that's where I'm happy. Like anything past there is just extra bonus. But like I reckon we can go top 3 again at least. Then after that, I definitely think Asia being Rex and Spell is going to be insane. Like I reckon they'll be up there again. After that. Now, I just don't know how much LCFR has been playing lately, because he hasn't really been vocal on anything. He just kind of plays,
He's come back playing. He's been playing a lot recently, actually, yeah. Okay. Because we talked to him on the last podcast. He just hasn't been talking.
Okay. All right, well, that's good. I mean, if that's better for him, that's better for him. So that's good. Pirate's an amazing player. Okay, yeah. Pirate, again, is an amazing player with amazing deck building skills, so I think Canada will go hard.
There's a chance he's drunk, though, during the tournament, and then it can all go. He might pass out.
He plays better. It's fine. He plays better.
He plays better when he's drunk.
Yeah, but he has a peak. It's like a roller coaster. Once he hits the top, he passes out. So you got to win before his pass-out timer. It's like
that's exactly right.
Rush down.
Now, with Russia, Kane is a very strong player, and I don't know Morgan is, and Gaunt is very good as well. But I don't think they have as much oomph as they did last time.
What was their roster last time?
It was Kane. It was
all I know is the guy who I played. I didn't know the guy, but man, he beat the crap out of me real fast. And I was like, that's it. That's it.
And then after that, I mean, like Ornith will always go hard, but again, I'm not too sure. We'll see. They haven't got Agrash to screw me over this year, so I'm cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
Then you know what, Nordics. I reckon Alex and Lorfix is going to absolutely destroy.
Yeah, Nordics coming out swinging.
Oh man, even Germany, it's so hard to pick.
I know.
And in the Spain and Portugal, I don't even know. Australia,
it's a battle of the Titans.
Whatever.
You're like,
you can
Australia
say
number one,
win,
everybody else forget about it.
Yeah.
My top 3 going for when we first did initial picks, because I figured Australia, UK, and Russia. But looking at the roster, and I kind of agree. I think the Russia roster looks. I know Kane and Gaunt, but I don't feel as confident with them compared to looking at some of the other stacks. I agree. I think you guys in Australia, I think you guys have got an amazing team, and I expect you guys to be in the top. So I'm going to say, for me, Australia. I think Germany is a great team, so I think I'm going to lock them. And then I'm going to pick for my third. That's a hard one, man.
There's so many.
That's so hard. That third one is so hard because like all of these teams could be in that third spot in some degree. I want to go with North America, but I think Diamond is that wild card. Whereas I feel like the Spain Portugal team is pretty solid, but then I don't know who Kashura is, and I don't know who Corswain is in the Belarus Ukraine team. And
Corswain is a user on the server named Corswain.
I'm gonna go with the Nordics. I'm gonna go with Nordics as my third. So I'm gonna go Australia. I'm gonna go Germany, and I'm gonna do the Nordics. That's my pick. That's my 3 as of now. Obviously, we're gonna be following it as it goes and kind of see how things work and who makes top cut, and then go from there. But yeah, competition looks good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Solid year. Yeah, I guess year would be safe to say. Solid World Cup.
Now to segue off this, and I hope it's okay if I get to a bit of a controversial topic on here.
Go for it.
Because I know my friends over in Masterclass would absolutely rail me if I didn't at least bring this up. First off, I want to say congratulations in the event.
Thank you.
So I want to bring that up, if that's okay.
Is that where we're going? Are we going further with that, or?
Look, to start off with, all's fair in love and war. As long as it's not against terms of service, all is fair, is my opinion.
Right.
So I know there was a bit of drama around that, because I know people like Steve can be very vocal.
I actually haven't. I'll be the only person I've heard from on it was Egg yesterday, and that I don't take PMs from folks who want to get toxic, so I just shut it off. So, but I haven't heard anything from anyone else, and that's where I'm happy to leave it. I just give good games, and you guys. MC fought very hard. I don't know if you were playing on the MC team or some other team, but you guys fought very hard, and it was a good game.
Yeah, no, I wasn't part of the Masterclass roster. I was in Masters of the Universe this time, so we can end up coming fourth. I don't have the tickets. I think I'm 6 tickets right. Yeah, I'm 6 tickets right now, so a bit hard. But for people that don't know, Trader Z and Masterclass had a massive fight in the event. going up to 380,000, 382,000 respectively.
Is this the first? Because I think Pirate had said something. I think this is the first event where we've had 2 lodges above 300k in the top.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's right, because there was I think it was Seekers that got to 400 and something.
Right, and then I know Primericus did, supposedly. That was dubious circumstances with their 400 or 500k or something like that, I think, at one time. But
I mean, same with Seekers, though, is that they swap members in and out and stuff like that. So that was the whole thing that I'm trying to bring up. They were like, oh, you guys are swapping members and this, that, and the other. So I basically wanted to ask you, so a lodge is 20 people. How many people swapped in, if at all?
I believe, by my count, and I told the same thing to Egg, because I was at the last couple hours, I was just playing. But from my count from when we had people in, we had a lodge total of 26, maybe 27 guys.
That's not so bad.
We had a couple guys who left within the first week because they bailed. It wasn't working out for them. It wasn't a good event fit. They only got a couple thousand. They're like, I'm out. I'm not going to do it. And so we had other people step in. We had a couple guys leave to help get Skitarii and Merciless gold crates. So they went to the lodge to help play for them, and then they came back, and then so they came back in. So their spots were still there. And then we had a couple others who kind of like rotated. Like I said, like we had a couple other people from the community come in, play, and then they were tapped. Like, okay, well, I'm it's not working for me, or like, okay, well, I helped and I'm out. So I think all total it ended up like 26, 27. It wasn't 200. It wasn't 1,000. And all I'll say on it, as you said, like all's fair in love and war. It is within the terms of service. Everguild has made the statement multiple times that they're not interested in changing that. It's a facet of the game. It's been that way since the game was implemented. And it's been the way a lot of lodges play events. Like, not all the time. We certainly don't do it all the time, but this was a push for first. And the community, the Chairs Inn community especially, rallied. It was a big event for me because it was the Imperial Fest, and we all rallied together and pushed it out. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's an amazing score, like 382,000.
Yeah.
Insane.
I didn't get a chance to take a screenshot. The last screenshot I took, I was above 41,000 event points, and then I went to bed, and then I woke up the last hour to grind some more, and I think I got above. I don't know whether I was above 42,000, but I don't know how far above 42,000 personally. And we had 4 or 5 other guys who were above 30k at least. A lot of other guys at 20k. It was bonkers. It was there was nights where I would dream about Bastion and
absolutely,
and fucking Kestros and turn 2s. It was insane. So
absolutely. So the one other question I had about that is, how do you so obviously 20 slot into lodge, let's say you had the 26 people, how do you decide which 6 people kind of miss out on the rewards crate? Not that the rewards crate is insane, it's 10 tickets and stuff like that.
It wasn't even a matter of deciding, those are people who didn't want it, or people, it wasn't.
That's fair.
Yeah, it was there were a couple of guys who played all the way through, and they're like, I have all the cards. I don't, because by playing over the course of all those things, give my crate to somebody else who wants to play a few more games. That's really what it came down to. So it wasn't a matter of deciding you get it, you don't. Some people just
I've got everything, doesn't matter.
Yeah, some people just weren't interested in the crate. They were interested in playing to see Trader's End in 1. That's really what it came down to.
Absolutely. That's what I figured it is. Because like you said, if a couple of people left in the first week who only got a few thousand, well, obviously they don't get it because, and then you're right, there'd be some people that have gone, I've already spent 30,000 gold on the crate, I've got everything. And if you're only cutting out the 6 people, there'd be enough people there for that to not be a problem.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, all right. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That's all good. That's all fair. And like I said, and we could talk more after if you want, but I don't mind talking about it. Like I said, I've had a brief conversation. I like to keep it civil. I like to keep it all good and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, all's fair in love and war.
Now, with that out of the way, the next topic that we usually get to typically is what do you do when you're not playing Legions?
Oh, man, what I do when I go to play Legions, 3D printing's a hobby in and of itself.
So you mentioned you have a 3D printer. Like, is it a decent model? Is it a newer thing? I've only read about it. Haven't done 3D printing myself.
So I've kind of always wanted one for years and years and years because I'm like, they're goddamn cool. And I ended up doing some research a couple months back, and turns out they're not that expensive anymore. So this 3D printer I got is called an Ender 3 V2, and it was $400 Australian, so that's like 300 American, like USD or something like that, give or take. And it was like the most recommended for a cheap printer and stuff like that. And to say one more thing, there's two kinds of printers mainly. There's FDM and there's resin, and they kind of act in two different ways. I've got an FDM printer, which it heats up plastic, lays it down, and then puts layer and layer and layer and layer. Is it like
the visual? I'm trying to think. Does it kind of like dip in and out and then gradually go up?
No, that's the resin one.
Oh, okay.
So those ones you get far more detail, but they are a lot. They're toxic because resin's toxic.
And there's a lot more cleanup there, right?
Yeah, because with the FDM printer, you literally take them off and then you're good to go to paint. With the resin printers, you have to take them off, you have to dip them in a solution, you have to put them under a UV light, then you've got to like sand them, and then you're good to go.
Right, yes. I think that's like the video that I saw. They were doing all that. It's like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, but in saying that, my resin printer will print in like a third of the quality that a resin printer would.
Oh wow! So like if you're looking, and when you're doing the printing, are you getting the specs off of like websites and whatnot?
Yeah, there's a few different websites that have things up there. Mainly, the biggest one is called Thingiverse, but there are a few others that I use as well. Half the stuff I get is free, some is not free, but there's like, $5 or $6, $10 for different sculpts of people putting the time in for that sort of stuff. I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do when I got it, but it cost me $400, and I'm using it to print a 40k army. So an individual Marine that, you buy a box of 10 for what, 50 USD or something like that?
Like one, you mean like a special character?
No, just like a pack of 10 Marines. I'm able to look on the website now. I can actually
pack of 10, yes. Like individual Marine, I'm like, that might not, that's too steep. But yeah, for like just a squad is like 50, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. So here we go. So for 10 Marines in Australian, it's $98.
God damn!
Ouch! Yeah, you're getting robbed.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'll check out the conversion rate real quick. AUD to USD. It's at AUD to AUD.
I want to buy a resin printer just for Forge World stuff because man, is it a robbery?
Okay, so 98 Australian is 75 American.
Wow. That's still even more than we would pay. That's crazy.
We get shafted. It's called Australia tax, and the best way I can tell you what Australia tax is, way back when the PS4 came out, the PlayStation 4, after conversion in America, we were paying $50 more a console.
Wow.
Just because we're Australia, right?
Just because it's, you got to ship it to you guys. Come on.
Well, okay, sorry. The shipping fee per console on average was $1.
Holy cow.
So, Australia tax, we're willing to pay more, so we do pay more,
I've heard the same from guys who play card games, and it's an arm and a leg for them to get the card games to begin with, and then to pay an arm and a leg on top of that.
Yeah. So, for instance, 10 Marines, $100 Australian dollars. I can print a Marine for about $1.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you then?
That's so $400 for the thing. I've printed an Imperial Knight. I've printed several characters. I've got a bunch of Primarchs. I've got a Magnus sculpt I'm going to print. I've got cool alternate sculpts for a Defiler. All this sort of stuff. So sure, like that Marine that cost me $1 will take me 4 to 5 hours to print. But 10 Marines for $10 versus $100,
Now, when you print, do you have to print them individually, or can you print like groups of models?
You can print groups. Usually you don't want to, though, because if for whatever reason one model pops off the base or doesn't stick properly or it shifts in the thing, then you've got to stop the printer and you can't just take that model out. You'll have to redo the whole thing.
Gotcha.
So usually I like to print them one at a time. Now, sometimes I do let it go overnight, but when I do that, I like to print things that are less likely to fail. Like if I want to print like a big vehicle, then I'll print like the vehicle all at once and it'll just go overnight or stuff like that.
And when you're printing like the bigger things, because I know with the ones I've seen for the resin, there are those models where you've got to do it, kind of have a sprue. Do you have to have sprue, or can you just do it like a solid, like drop pot, boom, it's solid?
Yeah, you could do that. Absolutely, you could. Usually I don't, because it's like, that's going to take a day and 6 hours to print, and it's like I prefer to do it in pieces, so if one piece messes up, I haven't lost 8, 9, 10, 12 hours of printing, and it's just like, okay, I'll just redo that piece.
Well, I like also having a drop pod that has the doors open and closed to begin with, but just as an example.
That's exactly right. So, for an upfront cost of like $400 and then doing other things with it, it saves me a lot of money with it. Now, things aren't perfect, like the sculpts you would buy off GW and stuff like that. They are much better quality. But by the time you've sanded it, painted it, put some detail on it, from tabletop level, if you're just doing it for non-competition type painting and stuff like that, they look amazing.
Yeah. Well, and then on top of that, you've got the model. Anything extra that you've saved, if you really wanted to, you could put towards extra little bits or, sprue or Forge World. Do they still do the brass sheets where they've got the icons? You can cut those and add those out on there or anything like that.
I'm pretty sure they still do, but I can just print those. So
that's
conversion is the best.
Holy crap. I'm just thinking, you just I want this bit. I can just print that bit.
Yep. And sometimes it's hard to find things, but you can always find proxies. Like, I really like this tank. I'm just going to go search off Star Trek and find a cool tank off that. There are these things that look like the kind of tanks from Halo, the big purple Covenant tanks. I'll just print one of those, and that can be a proxy for this tank from this army. Similar size, similar shape, it'll do, right?
Nice.
So you can have like a fully customizable army and stuff like that.
Well, and that's cool, because it's conversion and modeling all in one, plus saving you some money. So that's cool.
Exactly right. It is its own hobby though, like having to find the sculpts and then you have to orientate them, and then you've got to support them yourself, because obviously the printers can't print into thin air. They need something to print on top of. So anything that's just kind of like a wing, you have to print everything underneath the wing. It took me a couple of days to find good settings, and then there's a lot of problems that come with them as well, in like stringing and then extrusion issues and then leveling the bed. And so it's its hobby in and of itself. Then you've got your tabletop hobby on top of that sort of stuff. So if you've got the time, which I do because I work night shift, it's great.
Very cool. Do you need a space for that?
Yeah, but I've just kind of got to
it's just kind of in your general hobby area to begin with.
Yeah, exactly right. So I carpeted my garage because I was like, I don't really care about my shitbox of a car being a garage. I was like, okay, so I spent some money, got some second-hand carpet and underlay. It's totally carpeted, so that's like the hobby space. So I've got my streaming set up. I've got my 3D printer behind me that's just always in the back of stream doing its thing. But yeah, it's like if you have the time and you play a lot of tabletop games or anything really, just do it. For a $400 cost, it's nothing.
Well, yeah, I mean, for $400, I don't even think that gets you a full army anymore. Like back in the day, that was an army, but like that's like, I mean, geez, the Silent King was what, $200 for the one model? Yeah,
you're buying literally like models for hundreds of dollars. Like if you look at the Death Guard where they brought out the Mortarion model, he is 230 Australian dollars.
Good God.
For one model.
Demon prints are so much.
Yeah, I see. There's a certain point, like even in my stage where like I don't make a lot, but I can't justify spending that money, like because it's like that's groceries. That's a half.
Scuff, I need you to go buy yourself a 30K army and then come back to me. Okay.
That's exactly Like so, the Magnus the Red, the sculpt for Magnus the Red, I got for free at $220 to buy one.
Yeah,
like it's crazy.
Well, that's where all the money goes for GW, though. They gotta, go to their marketing campaign and.
Don't get me wrong. Like the models you buy are really great, but the thing about it is, I'm not that great of a painter, so I ruin them anyways.
Well, and especially with where you're at, like you said, like you got the Australian issue. Yeah. So just even if you want to play something that maybe it's hard enough to get normally, that you don't get all the full model army line, like that's not an item or issue. You're like, I'll just make it. Now I can play this army that maybe you would go to the store and you'd have to special order to begin with, and over here, like we do a special order, we might get it within like 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know if that's the same case for you guys. So, yeah.
Well, they have warehouses over here. Like there are gaming stores you can go to and play, and they have a bunch of stock and stuff like that. But yeah, like it's pretty rough sometimes.
Such is the nature of the gaming hobby to begin with.
Such is the nature of Australia.
That's wouldn't want to be anywhere else though. I'd say that
anyone who lives there lives at an innate disadvantage from the rest of the world.
Yeah, we had to put a lot of points in survival.
That is true. Everything there wants to kill you guys. Every time I watch a documentary about Australia, that's pretty much what it comes down to.
I like to imagine Mad Max isn't like set in the future or anything. It's just set in Australia right now.
That's actually a reality show, is what it is.
Yeah.
As much as we have some of the deadliest animals in the world, we also have the stupidest animal in the world that I don't know why it survived, and that's the koala.
They got chlamydia. That's the only thing they got going for them.
They hang out in trees. They sleep 22 hours of the day. They don't drink water. They just eat leaves.
They eat
you pay your taxes, the Lord Humongous today.
They only eat the eucalyptus leaves, right? Like that's
it. That's all they do. They have
dumber pandas.
They've evolved to develop gooey brains because the amount of times they fall out of trees.
Is that a real thing, or they just like drop?
Yeah, well, the brain's not goo, but like it's in more goop, so that when they hit the ground, they don't just kill their brain.
I'm just imagining like people like going out for like a walk or a hike, and like just a koala just drops from the tree in front of them.
Oh, yeah.
That's the joke. Drop bears.
Well, that is the joke. Absolutely. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Koalas have talons that, like, if they get you, they'll split you open. But like, we don't worry about that because they don't really try.
Right. They're too busy munching on the leaves.
That's exactly right.
I've never been to Australia. When I was in high school, it was a place I always wanted to go, and then I gradually started reading more and more about, like the sharks and the gators and the snakes, and I was like, you know what? I'll just like it from afar.
It's not that bad. Like, you just got to be comfortable around it. He'll stay over there, I'll stay over here. And then when he doesn't, you run away.
Right. Then when it starts advancing, you're like, okay, I'm out. That's it.
Yep. So that's exactly right. Like for instance, like I'm not some super extreme hard man who's okay with everything. Like if there's a spider on the wall, I'm like, okay, there's a spider on the wall, but I'm not okay with and suddenly spiders.
Right. No.
And then suddenly spiders.
They're descending on you from above. No. Well, the question is too is how big is a spider? Like, I mean, are we talking hand size?
No, I mean, most of them aren't. Like, some of them aren't. But the hand-sized ones aren't the ones you have to worry about. They're like the huntsmans and the daddy longlings. They're the ones that won't bother you. It's the tiny, small redbacks and white tips that you can't bloody see that get you.
See, you're talking the things that sneak in your shoe and you put your foot on your shoe. And you're like, that's it. You're dead. That's it.
Yeah.
You thought you were going to put on your shoe today. Nope, that was a deadly mistake.
If a white tip or a redback gets you and you're not ready to go to a hospital, there goes your foot.
Local man got permanent no foot syndrome.
And then depending too, granted I know that it's not all that way, depending where you live, but is accessibility to hospitals a thing in some parts?
Well, Lord Humongous may just pull up on you.
Okay, all right. Well, I watched Crocodile Dundee, and I don't know if there was hospitals in that movie. So
I seen Mad Max. I don't think anyone survived.
Crocodile Dundee. Yeah.
In 1980, whatever it was, that was my Australian intro.
God,
Mick
what a
Dundee.
movie!
As an Australian, what is your take on that movie?
I mean, I've never actually seen the full thing through.
Is it just generally panned by the public there?
Yeah, somewhat. Like it's one of those like almost spoof movies,
That's fair. Well, I think it was meant to be, whether it was an Americanized spoof or not. What do you think about?
I'm pretty sure Crocodile Dundee's America, isn't it?
It is. It's an American movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you
they definitely go too far over the top. But
how do you feel about Reckless Kelly?
Reckless Kelly? What the hell's that?
You've never seen Reckless Kelly?
No.
Oh, that was the other Australian movie that I watched. I believe it's Yahoo Serious, and his family was.
It's a spoof of Ned Kelly.
Yes,
look at him.
Yes. And his family was a family of outlaws that was always an outlaw, so that somehow they developed an immunity to bullets. That's the whole story.
Wow.
It's a way out there comedy. Oh, good stuff.
God, Ned Kelly, what a hero.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, outlaw and like horrible person, but got caught because he decided to be a good person.
Everybody's got a weakness. Sometimes it's just doing the right thing.
He literally was like, we're going to hold up this train. And then he was like, oh, but you can go home because you have a family. And that guy was like, I'm just going to get the police. Basically, more or less.
That's what, let that be a lesson to you. If you're going to hold up a train, don't let anybody go.
That's exactly right.
Life advice with Scuff, leave no witnesses.
I mean, to an extent, that's the way it's got to be. Like, if you're choosing to go down that road,
with that.
just go hard. Just go hard.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for making it on. I know with the Australian time difference, that was kind of tricky to figure out. It actually wasn't too bad. I mean, our normal time worked out just on different ends of the globe.
Yeah, it's currently at 1:30 p.m. for me.
Yeah,
it's actually Mother's Day. I'm going to go see my mum after this.
See, it's Mother's Day for me in about 3 hours. Well, I mean, it's 10:30 p.m. here, but I'll be asleep, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, true. All right, well, thank you very much for having me on. I had a great time.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Hopefully we can have some follow-up down the road, maybe as the World Cup advances and Team Australia gets closer to that gold. We could have the team on, see how you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Once Team Canada takes over.
I mean,
okay, all right.
We'll see. Hopefully we have more than one team to talk to through the course of the series, although I know it's only going to be supposed to be a 4-week thing. It might go 6 weeks, but... yeah, it's always good hearing from different players out there, so...
Absolutely.
All right. Well, with that being said, I guess that's it for today. Actually, you got anything?
No, not really.
Do you want to plug?
I guess I'm declaring war on Australia now, like they're on the list.
because they're in the World Cup?
Nah, out of spite. Like, okay, so once we conquer Quebec and then Arizona, and we destroy all the trees on Earth... we'll then go after Australia.
Then the crabs will come for Australia?
Yes, it's just got to happen.
Sorry, we'll just put a barrier of like every single wildlife on the coast. It's fine.
No, we fine.
I'm pretty sure that the crocs will enjoy the crab meat.
I like my odds.
Vapix, do you have anything you would like to plug?
No, that's I'm all good, my man. I'm all good.
Yeah, not even your YouTube channel?
Oh, well, I mean, my YouTube channel is... it's not even Vapix. It sort of is Vapix. Man, my YouTube channel is a mess. So it used to be Subjugator Games, and I changed it to Vapix, but it didn't actually change. It says it's Vapix, but if you Google Vapix, it doesn't come up. But if you Google Subjugator Games, it comes up.
Huh. Because if I'm on YouTube, I've got it on my pins. It says Vapix on me. Or Vapix. I'll try to pronounce it that way, because that's the way I say it.
That's all right. It doesn't matter.
Interesting, but it doesn't come up that way if you search for it.
Nope. I don't know what's going on.
The YouTube algorithm is a tricky thing. Like, it's taken me this long to sometimes try to figure out how to get it in searches and get videos showing up and for people to see them. So that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, but I will plug one thing. We're at 705 subscribers on YouTube right now. When we get to 1,000, we're doing a 24-hour live stream on Twitch.
Wow. You're going to stream for 24 hours?
Yeah, I mean, I can't guarantee I'll be on the stream the entire time, but somebody will be.
No, just do a sleep stream towards the end. And make sure
the last 6 hours are just you in like a sleeping bag, like in the chair.
Oh, Scott, have you seen a good sleeping stream? It's the ones where you can donate to play videos and you have your speakers on. So they play Scotland Forever on repeat for like 8 hours and you can't sleep. Those are beautiful. I'll give you content, Vapix.
The idea of that just baffles me. I don't get it.
Oh, it's amazing. Well, the YouTubers
like to watch others suffer.
It gets free money while all they got to go through is a lack of sleep.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I don't know if that's a fair exchange.
Nah, that's worth it.
I enjoy the sleep. I'll sleep.
I like money too much.
Well, is it $1 million?
No, but it's money.
Okay. Is it $20? Is that enough for you?
Are you trying to call me cheap?
I'm just saying, what's your price? Like, okay, what's your price to give up a full night of sleep? Yeah.
I don't know, like $100. Like, that's a work day.
Right?
No, that's like a good chunk of a work day right there. I get paid to just not sleep good. I can get coffee. Caffeine exists.
I mean, that's what I do. I go to work and not sleep good.
Yeah. That's just life. I'm getting paid $100 to live my life.
I don't know. I mean, $100?
$100 sounds a little low.
I mean, it's fair, but it seems like low to me for the inconvenience. Like, I would go $200.
All right, $200 Scuff is selling for a night of sleep.
You want to send me $200? Anyone? I will not sleep for you.
And then we can play Scotland Forever, playing throughout your house.
Well, I'm going to plug deck slots because we are at that stage now that the Sisters of Silence are here. Malcador's, the Agents of the Sigilate, is coming in a week, and we need the deck slots because otherwise we'll be at capacity. We'll be past capacity. So let's get on it, Everguild. Deck slots.
Wait, so is there more warlords now than deck slots?
Right now, there are just enough deck slots for the warlords.
Okay,
but will next like the next 3 we get ruin that?
Yeah, but the next 3 will ruin it. There won't be enough for them, and then when we introduce the 4th warlords, they won't have room either. So, yeah, we got to get on that. We need like 2 more rows of deck slots to accommodate the 3 warlords from Agents of the Sigilate, the 3 fourth warlords, and whatever neutral warlords we end up getting through the course of the expansion. So,
hells yeah.
That's it. All right.
As long as we get if Lord of Flies, I'm happy.
you're pro Lord of Flies?
Yep.
He might come
pro
one
Lord
day.
of Flies.
He might come one day. I don't know if he's going to be this expansion or not, but we'll see. It's possible.
Yeah. Well, it kind of makes sense that he should be soon because like that's what this event is.
Right. He's linked to it. He's linked to the whole Terra thing, and I believe there's at least one more story where Garrow like faces off against him. I think,
again, does he?
Like,
okay.
Yeah, like 2 or I believe he faces the Lord of Flies like 2 more times in the course of his story arc. So
because I've only read the first one where the Flight of Eisenstein at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the first time. And there's a short. There's like a novella one, and then I don't know if the second one is in a book or a novella or an audio drama, but there's a history with him. It's just destined to happen. So hopefully by that time he'll be there in the game and people can finally have what they have craved for so long.
Yeah.
Man, the only thing I've heard people want more is Qualifiers.
That's there. Look, there's 3 warlords I think that are hotly contested, and that becomes Lord of Flies, Qualifiers, and Amet.
I would like to say Amet, but I think Holguin was more angrily wanted.
Really?
Than Amet.
You think so?
Yeah. Oh man, the only reason people didn't want Azcaleon is his voice.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, his voice is atrocious. His ability is really good, despite what people think. I enjoy it, although I liked Amet's ability too, so...
Amet was fun.
They were both going to be winners, in my opinion.
Basically, there was no losing when it came to those 2, but then, yeah, people really wanted that. Some people are still salty about Lord of Flies to this day, and know what I say to you? We should have got a better event raid, because, like, man, it was not great.
That raid boss, was, that drove me away. I went so far, I was like, I can't do this. We're just not going to get...
That was the Chaos Spawn one, wasn't it?
No, that was
the Behemoth of...
yeah, something. I thought you were talking about Chaos Spawn, like the Warlord. But yeah, Behemoth was the raid boss, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, screw that one.
Not fun.
It was just dumb.
Not only was he not fun, but the rewards weren't great.
No, I think...
No, I mean, Lord of Flies isn't good. He's just fun.
He's just memey, you know? When you drop down a Destroyer of Worlds for no maintenance, why not?
That's exactly right.
It's not even that. It's just like the event rewards leading up to him weren't great.
No, the whole tier. I think the only thing that was decent in that whole list, well, the Crucial Choice was the legendary. It wasn't even like it was a legendary reward. It was like epic reward for the Warlord boss. And then we got Cork. Look, we got Cork out of it. I'm happy with that.
Sure.
Cork is fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that being said, we'll call it a night. We're at the 2-hour mark. Thank you again for joining us on the chat, Vapix.
And absolutely, I'll love to come on again.
Yeah, love to have you. And we'll coordinate. I got to take a look at the schedule, like I said, as the World Cup goes. So that'll be fun.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
A magnificent ending.
This has been another episode of the Warp Chatter Podcast. Thank you for listening.
Yes. Shh. It's over. Don't fight it.